Good morning, students, and welcome to today's chapter, Standard 10th Space Missions, Science and Technology, Part 1. Man has always been curious, dear children, about unknown places, and he has always been eager to expand the horizons of his knowledge. He must have had deep curiosity about the space and many twinkling stars in the dark sky. He must have had dreams to fly to the space and must have been working for that. Space missions. Now let us see what do you mean by space missions. Now, substantial developments in technology, especially space technology, has led to 1,000 artificial satellites that have been placed into orbits around the Earth. Space missions have been undertaken for close observation of various objects in the solar system. Now let us learn about all this in this chapter, Space Mission. Why do we classify space missions into two categories? We can do the classification in two categories, one type and second type. See the type 1. The objective is to put artificial satellites in orbits around the Earth for research and various other useful applications. And the second type objective is to send the spacecrafts to outer space for close observations and understanding of the objects in the solar system or even outside the solar system. Now, this is a slide which shows us the first person to go in space in a spacecraft. What was his name? His name was Yuri Gagarin of then USSR. Now it is called Russia. So, Yuri Gagarin was the first person to go into space and he was from United Soviet Republic of Russia. He orbited the Earth in the year 1961. The first person to step on moon in the year 1969 was Neil Armstrong of USA, United States of America. Then Indian was Rakesh Sharma, who orbited the Earth in the year 1984 in a Russian spacecraft. Even the Indians Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams of Indian origin participated in space explorations through missions organized by NASA. That is, the full form of NASA is National Aeronautics and Space Administration of USA. Now, this picture shows about the need and importance of space missions. You can see satellites that are orbiting around the Earth and the personal one-to-one communication taking place between these satellites. All these satellites that you can see are nothing but artificial satellites. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik. The first artificial satellite Sputnik was sent to space by Soviet Union in the year 1957. So children, this is how the first artificial satellite Sputnik looks like. Now, let us see more about a satellite, artificial satellite and a natural satellite. The first artificial satellite Sputnik was sent to space by Soviet Union in the year 1957. As I told you before, the satellites work on solar energy. So, solar photovoltaic panels are attached on both sides of these satellites like wings. Whereas a natural satellite is an astronomical object orbiting the Earth or any other planet. The moon is the only natural satellite of the Earth. So, if the question is asked which is the only natural satellite of the Earth, the answer is the moon. The moon is the only natural satellite of the earth. Now, this slide shows us about the different types of satellites, that is INSAT. India has the national satellite by the name INSAT. Then there is GSAT, IRNS, then IRS, Indian Remote Sensing Satellite, then GSLV, PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicles. So these are the names of the different artificial satellites. Now you see the chart showing the type of satellites, the different types of satellites. I will explain the function of each satellite. First one is weather satellite. Now this weather satellite is launched to study and predict the weather. So if you have to study the weather and prediction of the weather is to be done, it is done by weather satellite. The next one is the communication satellite. It is used to establish communication between different locations in the world through use of specific waves. And then is broadcast satellite. Telecasting of television programs, everything is done. You watch television programs, these programs are being telecasted by the broadcast satellite. Then comes the navigational satellite. Okay, what is the use or the function of a navigational satellite? It is to fix the location of any place on the earth's surface in terms of its very precise latitude and longitude. Then comes the military satellite. Collect information for security aspects. Military satellite is the function is to collect information for security aspects. And the last one is the Earth observation satellite. Study of forests, deserts, oceans, polar ice on the Earth's surface, exploration and management of natural resources, observation and guidance in case of natural calamities like flood and earthquake. All this is being done by the Earth observation satellite. Now this is the orbits of artificial satellite, orbit of an artificial satellite. You can very well see the blue color earth, and outside the earth the satellite is revolving in a circular orbit. So this diagram shows about the orbit of an artificial satellite. Let me explain to you all exactly what is the orbit of an artificial satellite. All artificial satellites do not revolve in similar orbits around the earth. The functions of the satellite decide the height of the satellite's orbit from the earth's surface, the nature of the orbit, and whether the orbit shall be parallel to the equator or making some angle with it. To put the satellite in its proper orbit at specific height above the Earth's surface, the satellite is taken to that height using a satellite launcher. Then the satellite is given a specific velocity known as the critical velocity in a tangential direction to the orbit, as you can see very well in the figure. The satellite then starts revolving around the earth. So the figure clearly shows us the satellite's orbit around the earth. VC stands for the critical velocity in the tangential direction. So figure shows how along the radius, when you have a tangent, the critical velocity keeps on moving and the satellite takes an orbit around the earth. Now let us see the three types of earth orbits. The first one is the high earth orbit. The height from the earth's surface is greater than 35,780 kilometers. Now, If the height of the satellite orbit is above the Earth's surface is greater than or equal to 35,780 km, the orbit is called high Earth orbit. So children, if the orbit has an height above or greater than 35,780 kilometer, that will be called, that particular orbit will be called as the high Earth orbit. Now, if the satellite is revolving in an orbit parallel to the equator, the time of revolution for the Earth around itself and that for the satellite to revolve around the Earth being the same, the satellite will appear to be stationary. For a passenger in one vehicle, another vehicle moving parallel to him with equal velocity appears to be stationary. So, if you have a passenger moving in one vehicle, for him the another vehicle which is moving parallel to him with the same equal velocity as him, that will be appearing to be stationary. Now, this is what happens here also. These satellites are therefore called geosynchronous satellites. Since these satellites are stationary with respect to the Earth, since these satellites are stationary with reference to the Earth, they can observe a specific portion of the Earth continuously. Therefore, they are used in applications like meteorology and for carrying out signals for the telephone, for the television and radio, etc. Now, the next one is the medium Earth orbit. As you can clearly see, the height above the Earth's surface 2000 km to 35,780 km. So, children, if the height of the satellite orbit above the Earth's surface is between 2000 kilometers and 35,780 kilometers, the orbits are called medium Earth orbits. That means the height should be between 2000 kilometer and 35,780 kilometers, then only it will be called as the medium Earth's orbit. The geostationary satellites orbit above the equator. So, you know, the geostationary satellites, they will orbit above the equator. These are therefore not useful in the study of polar regions. For this purpose, elliptical medium Earth orbits passing over the polar region are used. These orbits are called as polar orbits. In these orbits, the satellites complete one revolution in 2 to 24 hours. So, in 2 to 24 hours, the satellite will complete one entire revolution. Some of these satellites revolve in circular orbits at the height of around 20,200 km above the Earth's surface. Global positioning satellites revolve in such orbits. Now the last one is third one, low Earth orbits. You can see height above the Earth's surface 180 km to 2000 km. So, if the height of the satellite orbit above the Earth's surface is between 180 km and 2000 km, the orbits are called low Earth orbits. The satellites used for scientific experiments and the atmospheric studies revolve in low Earth orbits. Depending on the height of these orbits, they complete one revolution in around 90 minutes. International Space Station and Hubble telescope also revolve in low Earth orbits. Now, do you know, children, that a group of students from COEP, that is the College of Engineering Pune, made a small satellite and sent it to the space through ISRO in 2016. The name of the satellite is Swayam and it weighs around 1 kg. It is orbiting the Earth at a height of 515 km. Now, the main objective of the satellite was to provide point to point messaging services using a special method. Thank you.